Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm an intuitive coach and mentor,
And I'm Luisa. I'm an awakening coach and energy healer.
and we're your spiritual besties.
We're just everyday women having an extraordinary human experience.
You see, we've both been led down the path of amazing discoveries through the power of spirituality.
So, we're here to share our experiences as we dive deep into all things sacred.
Our hope is that we can contribute to the collective conversation to help you feel less alone and more confident as you walk the path to becoming more connected with the universe.
We'd love for you to join us each week as we share our discoveries and navigate this journey together.
I'm Rachel. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I live in Northwest Arkansas with my husband, and I'm stepping into the medical intuitive realm lately, doing my muscle testing and my woo-woo stuff. I like to work with people who do chronic illness. So that's, a little bit about me.
Awesome.
Well, I'm excited to meet you, Rachel. I've heard lots of good things about you, so I'm excited. What is leading you on that path, Rachel? Why are you feeling the desire to go into that intuitive space?
I think a lot of it is because of my own health journey. I feel like, I've been sick since I was like 12. And so in the 20-year run with this, I've gone to all the doctors, done all the labs, tried all the things, gotten into the energetic realm. I've worked with a shaman, all types of energy healers, like mediums, everyone. And I just love learning. So it's like fun to try everything. And I feel like the things that have most profoundly moved the needle for my health were all of the not typical things. And so I still want to be able to use my guidance of like, here's the labs that are helpful, and here's herbs that do this to this biochemical pathway that's affected for you. But I love muscle testing. Are you familiar with muscle testing at all?
No, I'd love to hear about what this is. I've never even
Yeah,
heard.
okay, it's life-changing. Like, I was such a skeptic, and my friend was like, you should really go to this. And I like resisted for so long, and then I finally went. And I went, and it's the coolest thing. It's you ask the body a question, and you use your neurology, which is triggered by your muscle staying strong or your nerves telling your muscle to go weak as a no. So strong is a yes, going weak is a no. You can literally ask a question on someone and be like, do you have a virus right now that's behind your nasal congestion? And you ask yes or no. And like bodybuilders will try to resist, they'll try to resist the no, and they can't. Like your body goes limp when it's trying to say no. And you can actually do it virtually. You can test on yourself as long as you're tuned into the other person, which is what I've learned to do. So now all the doctors I work with personally do muscle testing, and I'm starting to do muscle testing for the people I work with. At this point, like I know, Luisa and I kind of use this, I've used this a little bit when we do our little exploration. Like I know if it's going to be a no a lot before I even get the answer. You feel it. And I think, just you can kind of get an idea of like, this feels like a certain herb, and then you figure out what herb it feels like would be a good fit. So that's kind of, there's a lot more there, but that's the overall, yeah.
That's really, really cool. So you're saying you can do this virtually as well.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be in person.
No, it's harder to do virtually. I think like I had to do this in person for like 4 years before I could do it virtually. But yeah, it's definitely possible.
Super cool. Now I want to do it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's so awesome. And then the muscle testing, this is really cool because you had shared that with me. I didn't know about it before you shared with me. I know you gave an example, but how have you used it and like what has been the outcome for a
Yeah,
client specifically?
that's a good. So one of the most common times that I use it is if we're trying to decide, so someone has fatigue and they're crashing in the afternoon. And I'm like, is this blood sugar? Is this a cortisol issue? Is this hormonal or like something else? And so you can literally ask, is this a blood sugar issue? Is this a cortisol issue? Sometimes both will come back positive, and then I can say, well, which one would make the most difference to focus on first? And I can ask, and then if I'm say that, cortisol is the answer there, then I can say, okay, so I'm thinking of like 3 different cortisol supplements based on what I know about what this person told me that they're dealing with and what their fatigue looks like and how they've responded to other things. So I'm in between these three, and I can just ask like which one does their body prefer. And then I can ask what dosage does their body prefer. And there's a difference between what the most effective dosage would be and what their body can absorb and handle. So you can ask both. Yeah, so that's kind of like when you're figuring out approach, that's one way. The other way that this is commonly used is there's only so many lab tests out there, and a lot of people with autoimmunity and chronic issues have infections that they don't know about, or they have mold exposure that they don't know about. So you can literally ask, is the immune trigger, is it mold? Is it a bacteria? Is it a virus? Is it a parasite? And then taking the knowledge of what all the possible parasites and bacteria and whatever are, then you can go through the list and ask, is it this one? Is it this one? And then you can say, okay, should we treat this virus with olive leaf, or what should we do? And then fall into the treatment part of it.
This is
Yeah.
seriously mind-blowing for me right now.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Because as someone who I deal with a chronic illness, I have type 1 diabetes, and I actually developed it in adulthood. And so it's like this very gray area, right? Like we know that it is typically, especially in adulthood, environmental triggers and everything.
Yeah.
But my experience with typical standard medicine in this realm has been so challenging, and because ultimately every single person's body is different, right? And that is so, I mean, you're basically saying that, right? That's what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
every single person is different. And so in typical modern medicine, it's like, well, this is the treatment for this, and this is the treatment for this. And so I show up to a doctor's appointment. It's like, well, we need to make these adjustments because this is what we do. And it's like, okay, we make the adjustments. Well, that didn't work for me because that doesn't work for me. And so it's
Right.
this constant confusion. And luckily, I was able to find a doctor who was like, we know that this is how you react to this. And we know that this is how your body reacts to this, which
Yeah.
has been incredibly helpful, right? Because then it's like she's treating me and not just the general illness or disease or whatever. But I think it's super common and a challenge that so many of us face with modern medicine is just so very prescriptive. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, here's the thing, and here's what you do for it for everybody. And I think we have obviously so much real life evidence that it doesn't really work that way. So this is like mind blowing for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to
Yes,
do this.
this is like the opposite of an algorithm.
Yes.
It's 100% customized. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I resonate with that a lot. I don't have diabetes, but I have multiple other autoimmune conditions. I have Crohn's and RA and some other things going on. And yeah, I did not have a typical response to anything. I tried like 5 biologics, they all didn't work. So it wasn't until I got into the weird stuff like this, even beyond the regular functional naturopathic stuff, this is when I really started getting better. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We've had sessions where there have been specific things, like specific herbs that have come up for me. And I completely attribute this to her, because then what happened was I got one for her, like it came through. I channeled an herb for her, and then I started channeling like herbs for my own family. Like now my kids, like they're like taking, herbal drops and things that have absolutely helped them. That to me is just mind blowing. I was like, one, I definitely did not know that I could do this. And two, this is totally because of Rachel.
Not because of me, but that's so cool that you're doing it for your whole family now.
Yeah, it's like we're all taking like herbal stuff that literally has
Yeah.
just been like channels. Like I've just been channeling. So
Yeah.
it's been really, really extremely helpful. My daughter was suffering with inflammation, and I had no idea. She kept telling me her knee, and I'm like, what? I'm like, this girl's like losing her mind. There's always something wrong with her. It was her knee and her ankle. And I was like, she's falling apart. She's 8. What's happening? And then that one of the times that I had the thought, my daughter is losing her mind, then soon thereafter I channeled it because I get the visuals. It was a spoon of me giving her, and it was olive. I think it was olive oil. It was oil versus other times we've gotten different things in the
Yeah.
past, but it was very specific. Now she drinks that with her water and she hates it, but she doesn't have inflammation anymore. So
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
yeah, it's
That is
pretty cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. I love learning new things and I love having my mind open to sort of like this different space that wasn't there for me before. So hearing about all of this and getting all this new information to me is like, yes, I love new information.
I
I
feel the
find
same way.
And it's so beautiful that we get to experience this as like part of our spiritual path. Nobody was going to tell me, oh, okay, you're going to be able to take care of your family's health needs because of your spiritual path. That's not something I would have ever put together. But being so aligned with my intuition and being able to listen to myself and, the beautiful gifts that I've gotten out of this spiritual path are just so meaningful and obviously life changing. I was thinking about my daughter because she has another condition that we literally went to like 5 specialists for and got nowhere. And I was so grateful when it was like I channeled this thing that literally we would have had to go to at least 3 doctor's office visits to figure. I mean, if anybody would have ever prescribed that, I doubt it. But it's just such a beautiful blessing that comes out of listening to yourself, that comes out of being in tune with our own bodies and being in tune with, I don't know, with our truth, really.
That is one of the things that I will say over and over again is like the answers are within you because 100% they always are, but it is this process of allowing them to come through, of opening up to get those answers that most people in our society don't know how to do. They do not know how to actually tap into this inner knowing that they have within themselves. It is there and it is possible, but it's things like this, practices like this, that teach you, that help guide you through that process of really looking inward. And I think that's amazing. I mean, that is like this part of this spiritual journey is learning how to do that. And so I think you just then can apply it to all these different areas of your life. And that's amazing to me, like mind blown.
So
Yeah.
true. And one way I've kind of put to words what I feel like is the process of being able to tap into that is I think first people need to be able to accept and know that they have a soul. Like they have this otherworldly presence still in this physical form. Luisa, you know all about the soul, but if you don't believe that you have an active soul and you don't believe that you're one drop in an ocean and there is a collective consciousness and universal greater good energy to tap into, then I don't think you're going to be able to access that intuition in the same way. And a lot of people, I hate this for them. I see people going through and seeing like 10 different doctors, and they're just thinking that their physical body is, it's like a car, like you're just going to the mechanic, just need to find something and fix it. And it's so much deeper than that. And it's because we have these mental, emotional, and soul layers. And I think people are starting to address the mental, emotional more. I think the soul is still missing in a lot of approaches.
Yeah.
I would 100% agree. I think as a society, we're moving in the right direction because we are adding in that mental, emotional piece to it that has been completely overlooked for years. It just came to mind of the hysterical woman who clearly she doesn't have anything physically wrong with her. It's just her making it up. Well, maybe if we look a little bit deeper and see what's mentally, emotionally going on there, we can have a better picture of what is going on with her health. But I think we still have a really long way to go. And honestly, it's people like you getting out there doing this, having these conversations where the general public, general population can access this information, get exposed to this information, and just be able to see it in this different way. And I think it will take some time for people to open up to it, for a lot of people to open up to it. But then obviously there are some of us who are going to hear it and be like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But I think that just this process of telling people and talking about it as much as possible, that's how we move in that direction. That's how we really move the needle.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this approach isn't going to be for everyone. And that's why it's so great to have options. And even outside of conventional medicine, there's so many other options besides this. So I think that's where it comes down to being empowered. Like you can really live your life's purpose and tap into your soul energy and take control of your destiny when you feel like you have choices and you can make an informed decision. So yeah, that's what I want for everyone, is to have choices and be able to choose what they want. Yeah.
And I think that that is actually a novel concept for so many people in the healthcare space. Because I think many of us were raised to believe that the doctor is sort of the authority on your body, physical things with your body.
Mhm.
And it's just not true. Like, you are the only authority on your own body. Nobody else can tell you anything about you and your experience that you're living in this body. And so I think taking ownership of that and being able to make decisions out of that place of knowing this is my body, I'm the only expert on it. And now I get to make decisions about who I want to help me along the way as it relates to this body. And many people never even recognize that.
Yeah, that is so true, so powerful and so deep. And I agree with all of that.
It is. It's so true. I used to see it. So my last job in insurance, it was disability law, disability insurance law, and oh my goodness, it is devastating to see what happens when people just listen to, that's my doctor. I've been going to him for 20 years and I did everything that he said. And now you have cancer and you've been diagnosed with 6 months to live. But I did everything my doctor told me to do for the last 20 years. And it is heartbreaking how often you hear the same story over and over and over and over again. And what's even a little bit more devastating is what you mentioned, Melissa, where people aren't open to it toward the end, because I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. So it is what it is. I'm just going to say whatever I'm going to say. And I can't get canned if I'm leaving, right? So toward the end, I would mention to people, have you looked at alternative healthcare options? And just not open to it at all, even though the same person they went to cure them. I'm not going to say that it was the one who got them the illness, but they were supposed to be taking care of you. And if they were taking care of you, would you have at least caught it earlier on where you wouldn't be in this position? And even with that, even after they finished relaying that story and me being like, have you considered holistic options? Just shutting it down because we don't have, as a collective, we don't accept that we are in charge of our bodies, that nobody gets to tell us, that we get to tell them, like, hey, this is what's happening. And then someone like Rachel can use her expertise with the medical training, can then use the combination of both to be able to help. That's a wrap for this episode.
We hope you found some inspiration, a helpful tip, or maybe just a good laugh.
Remember, amazing human, you are not alone on this path to connect with your inner wisdom and the universe.
To stay connected and keep the conversation going, subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcast so you never miss an episode.
And if this episode resonated with you, share it with your friends, family, or anyone who might find value in it. Until next time.